What is the true value of the good that you do? That can be a very interesting and complicated answer. We want to do good. Naturally, we as human beings want to do the right thing. We want to be helpful. We want to be ethical. We want to be moral. We want to be helpful to other people. And we exist in this world to be there for other people. And this is why we're not animals. We don't act on instinct. We shouldn't act on instinct. We think about what we're doing. Animals don't really think. A deer who is being attacked by a lion. That lion isn't giving a moment to think, oh, this little fawn is the baby of this mother deer who has taken care of it for so long. It doesn't have empathy. The lion doesn't have sympathy or any regard. The lion is hungry, he's eating. We as human beings have the ability to think, and we want to be able to be helpful to other people. However, what is the true value of the good that you do for other people? And this answer is extremely interesting, and I'm going to give you practical tips at the end of the video. 2 practical tips on how to apply this concept as we learn more about it. Okay, a mitzvah in the Hebrew language means a positive commandment. It's a commandment. It doesn't mean it's a good deed, right? It's a commandment, a positive commandment that is commanded by the king, right? A commandment does not have to make sense. It doesn't mean it always feels good or feels right or is comfortable to do or it's convenient. It's a commandment. We know it's for our well-being. It's for our good. We actually have absolutely no idea what a mitzvah is valued for, what it encapsulates. We have no idea what a mitzvah actually is, what it accomplishes, and its value. There's no such thing, as we discussed in previous videos in classes, there's no such thing as a big or small mitzvah. We don't know the value of even something simple, a simple mitzvah. You could change somebody's world by just calling them randomly. It's a small mitzvah. It didn't cost you anything, didn't take you a lot of time. Just calling them to ask them how they're doing. They could be feeling so low about themselves or going about their lives in such a depressed way that your phone call gave them value, even for a small amount of time. But it probably changed their day, changed their life, giving them more meaning. It's a small mitzvah that you did. There's no such thing as a small or big mitzvah. It seems small, but there is actually no way of actually measuring how big or small it is. Therefore, since we don't know the value of a mitzvah, we have to train ourselves to do as many mitzvahs as possible as a tivoi of the melech. What is tivoi? Tivoi is a commandment of the melech, of the king. It's a commandment of the king. It doesn't matter how I feel about it, what I think about it. This is my opportunity to do something for Hashem, for God. The fact that a mitzvah feels warm and fuzzy does not mean this is the reason why you should do it, right? We live in a world where we live in thrills, in excitement, what feels good. We're at work, we're thinking about the next break, the next vacation, and that's fine, but we don't live just for pleasure. We don't live just for thrills, right? It feels good to have something new, to go places, to rest, but that's not our purpose, right? We are here to accomplish, we're here to do. So for example, your neighbor asked you to watch her little children for a little bit. And after coming back to pick them up, she is so incredibly grateful to you. First of all, she promises that she'll also be there for you. She's so grateful. You saved her life. She had to run this errand and you gave her that opportunity. And in your busy schedule, you made time for her, right? Plus, you had other responsibilities. And of course, this makes you feel so good. You feel warm and fuzzy when she leaves. However, that's not why we help other people. The fact that you help other people and it makes you feel good afterwards, That's a gift from Hashem. Some mitzvahs don't make you feel warm and fuzzy and good. The reason why you did this mitzvah is because you had an opportunity to help someone. It doesn't matter who it is. Hashem gave you the time, the energy, the opportunity, the wherewithal to help this person. It's not because of you. He enabled you to do it with these gifts of time, energy, ability. But guess what? Even though He enabled you, after 120 years when a person leaves this world, this person gets 100% credit for doing this mitzvah, even though Hashem enabled him or her to do it. So we have to understand that not all mitzvahs we do feel good afterwards either, or during. When we're taking care of a colicky baby, or we're staying up late at night for them, or we're making something else for supper when we're just exhausted for a different child, or taking a child to the doctor when you have to take along all the other kids, right? Or shoveling snow. How comfortable does that feel? But yet you're doing a chesed, a kindness for so many people, right? You're clearing the pavement, clearing the streets for other people as well, even though it's your driveway or your front of the house or area, right? You're doing a chesed to so many people. Does it feel comfortable? You're doing it. You're freezing. You're cold. You're uncomfortable. You're tired. It's late. It's dangerous. You could fall. It's slippery. It doesn't always feel comfortable. Yet we have no idea what we're accomplishing. Or unpacking shopping, folding the laundry. I know a few people who have told me they love laundry. It just calms them down. And if you're one of those people who enjoy it, great. But not all mitzvahs, not all acts of kindness, positive commandments, not all of them feel good. Okay? Another one is praying Tehillim, a book of Psalms, or praying in general. Maybe at that time you have little kids who are distracting you or calling you, and you need to finish this prayer, book of Psalms for someone. You're praying for someone. Does it feel good at that moment? You feel tense, rushed, distracted. You feel like probably you haven't accomplished much. But yet that does not mean you didn't get any credit for that mitzvah. We don't know what we accomplished. We accomplished, we affected the cosmos. We have no idea. So because we have no idea, we have to understand there's so much value. We are so empowered. If we would know the value of what we're doing, we wouldn't stop doing it, because we would lose our free will. And because we have free will, we are given credit for doing what we're doing, because we're given a choice. But if you didn't have a choice, you would be a robot, and that doesn't mean you receive credit for it, because you have no choice. We have a choice. But remember, if we see the value of what we're doing, we wouldn't stop. Okay. We should do chesed because it is a commandment of the King, not because it feels good. This will also save you from disappointment and expectations of other people. So we look for the opportunity to help other people because it is simply a positive commandment. It is a commandment to help. I am made to help. I need to give. It does not matter who you're helping. So it doesn't matter if this person you're helping is your neighbor, is your relative. The fact that you're helping, Hashem enabled you to give. But let's say you're saying, oh, this is my relative and I'm always there for her and she's never there for me. Now comes in resentment, anger, expectations, and disappointment, because we don't control other people, and other people have their own positive commandments in their lives that they're meant to do. And maybe it's not meant for her to help you as well, but you are doing it because you are able to, and you have that opportunity, and Hashem enabled you to do it. So what is a way to do chesed in the best possible way? What is a way to do kindness in the most perfect way? How do we help our family and other people the way Hashem wants me to, right? The oral Torah tells us to really try to feel what the other person is feeling. In other words, put yourself in other people's shoes. Put yourself in their reality. What does that mean? That means that if it's important for a teenager to look good despite the pimples, that a mother should empathize, a parent should empathize and go out of her way to get a special cream for treatment, right? Or that child who the colicky baby who's very upset, very cranky due to her stomach, a colicky baby with who has stomach pains. We're patient, we're empathizing. If we had stomach pains, how would we feel? We want someone to be there for us, right? Or the 60-year-old who says, who's just afraid because there's a monster under the bed. Is there really a monster? No. But because the parent is empathizing, sympathizing, and feeling for the child, then the child will feel connected to the mother. And that's what we want to do. We want to help. Or the 8-year-old who wants the same school supplies as every other child in the school, or the same snack as every other child, the same cool snacks, because every other mother does the best things that you don't, right? That's what we hear from our children sometimes. Or the child who really wants another turn at the game and it's time to go to bed, right? Or they just can't right now. I had like a simple situation that happened, and just a quick personal story that one of my children told me, that one of their classmates at school has a parent who told this child she can't really buy things from the canteen, some items, some snacks, because they're not healthy at all, and she shouldn't have it at all, and this is not taking care of her health. First of all, the child sees other students, other classmates eating all the time. And yes, it's true that we want to be healthy and we teach our kids good, healthy habits. But what is it doing to a child when they're every day, they are not like their other classmates? Maybe have it a few times a week, maybe have it once a week. But telling a child they can't do it because it's not good for them, but everybody else is doing it, we really have to think about what misery we're putting our children in. Because at the end of the day, we have to be empathetic. We have to be sympathetic, putting ourselves in their shoes, how a child feels. So I just want to tell you this quick, situation that happened, and I felt for the child. I don't know the child, but we have to understand what we're doing to our children, right? Well, I'm not judging this parent. I don't know this parent, but I do want to say that we have to think about putting ourselves in our kids' shoes, in our children's shoes, and putting ourselves in their reality, how they would feel. After 120 years, we are told that we're going to be asked this question: did you crown your friend as your king happily and cheerfully? What does that mean? Meaning, did you try to make the other person happy? Did you crown him as king? Meaning from their reality. Did you understand their reality? Did you try to accept their reality? Did you try to accept their orbit of thinking? We have to understand that we as people, as individuals, only make sense to ourselves. People argue back and forth. Why? Because this one said this thing, that one says another thing, back and forth nonstop. Because we make sense only to ourselves. And somebody just has to give in, right? Somebody has to accept, understand, be flexible. And it is important that we take this concept and remind ourselves that we have to put ourselves in the person's place. We have to be happy for people when they're happy. Be sad with them when they're going through tough times and they need our empathy. And when you can't help, because you're only one person, we can't be there for everyone. You can for sure say a prayer. And maybe you can say a prayer that encapsulates all the people who need help, right? We have to understand that because I make sense only to myself, I have to come out of my shell. And I have to be able to enter the other person's orbit. So, for example, if you are always helping her and she never helps you, if you come out of your orbit and put yourself in her shoes, she makes total sense to herself why she's not helping. And this way we're more accepting, we're more kind, we're understanding, and we can make peace with that. We can make peace with other people. So, every generation has their own limitations. Our generation is especially limited in thinking and focusing. right? Making time to think, concentrating on what we're doing, right? We're all into multitasking, and the truth is nobody really knows how to multitask 100% because we're not meant to. If you think you're doing a lot of things, great, but really you're not doing a lot of things 100%. You're only doing one thing 100% at a time. So we have to understand that you can only do one thing really well when you're doing it with focus and with concentration. But because we live in a world where people have a very hard time to focus, very hard time to concentrate, we need to understand that this is our limitation. Yet, we could connect to Hashem. We could connect to Hashem and say that even though it's so hard for me to put thought into what I'm doing, because that's really doing the tzivoy of the melech, the commandment of Hashem, of the king, with concentration, with thought, with good intention, with meaning, right? Doing it 100%. We can't do this for everything that we're doing. No human being can do that, most likely. So, 2 practical tips I will share with you. Practical tip number 1 is when you're making a blessing. The Jewish people make a blessing when they eat. Every single food that we eat, we make a blessing. So when you make a blessing, let's say on water, which is the Shahakol blessing, and you say the blessing of Shahakol, which means everything, right? Shahakol. We can keep in mind, Hashem, I'm thanking you for everything that I have in my life, especially today, and everything that I don't have. Everything that happens and doesn't happen, I accept everything. As you're saying this blessing on the water. So you can say, Hashem, just because I'm saying this blessing on this water, it encapsulates everything I'm doing for today. My gratitude for everything that I have for today. The second practical tip is that when let's say you're making a blessing, you tell Hashem that this blessing is made with concentration on all similar acts that you're doing today. For example, you're cooking for Shabbat, right? You're cooking for Shabbat. And you're cooking for the Sabbath. And that is your commandment from the king. It's a commandment. And you tell yourself, you tell Hashem, Hashem, I am cooking for Shabbat as a positive commandment from the king. Let all my preparations for Shabbat be counted as commandments from the king. And with this in mind, we are actually uplifting everything that we do. And we have, again, no idea what we're accomplishing when we're doing that. Another example is when you're putting on your seatbelt. You probably put on your seatbelt many times throughout the day, running errands, going to work. This is an act of guarding your health. We guard our health in many ways, emotionally, physically, the way we eat, right? The way we behave, when we cross the street, we look. When we're driving, we're careful on the road. So when you're putting on your seatbelt, you can say, Hashem, may the act of putting on my seatbelt be counted as a positive commandment from the king. I'm guarding my health. You're doing a lot of things when you're doing that, but you're guarding your health. You're also being kind to yourself. You're being kind to other people because the way you protect yourself and put on your seatbelt and guard your health, you're protecting other people from danger as well, right? Okay. So one more example is, let's say when you're making a blessing and you're fulfilling this blessing for every single blessing that comes that way. So regarding Shahakol, it's Shahakol, right? For other blessings that we say, may Hashem help us see that really everything we have is a blessing. And we can't stop and think about everything that we're doing and uplift it because we're not made that way, especially in our generation, and we have to accept that this is our limitation. But all Hashem cares about is the fact that we are trying, we're doing our best to be close to Him, to be connected to Him, and we have to understand that if we had a way of knowing the value of what you are doing, we wouldn't stop. But just knowing that it's valuable It's empowering. It's great. It changes the whole world, right? When we're doing a mitzvah, we affect the whole world. When I do a mitzvah with concentration, with kavanah, there's other blessings that Hashem showers on the world, that He unclasps and uncovers in the treasure chests of Shamayim, of heaven. So we have to understand that there's so much good that we can do through our prayers, through our good intentions, through our focusing, through our trying and putting in effort. And we should merit to enjoy fulfilling the commandments of the King as we become saturated with holiness, with Kedusha. These ideas are taken from Rebbetzin Esther Bayless Schwartz, Leah Abramov, Being and Becoming, Awakening Awareness of Your Greatness and Potential.